Congratulations to the Tampa Bay Lightning for winning the Stanley Cup. The finals went about how I expected, with Tampa dominating each of the games, but Dallas still being able to fight back a little bit to gain 2 wins. And to Dallas's credit, they adjusted. It just wasn't enough. Um, Tampa is just too fast and too strong for them with how they had to play. Uh, Dallas, through the entire playoffs, they've relied on Hudobin making that first save and the defense clearing out the rebounds. But against Tampa, with how big and how fast uh, they were just getting to the rebounds first and creating their scoring chances out of that. Um, and Tampa just looked dominant the whole way through. They didn't give many chances to Dallas, and the way Dallas tried to adjust and it worked in game 5 was they started just crashing the net hard, and that's why you see goals coming from guys like Corey Perry and Joe Pavelski, but it wasn't enough. So it's a little tough to see Pavelski lose in another finals, but this Tampa Bay team was had been right there for so many years. They made it to the conference finals 5 times out of the last 10 seasons and made it to the finals. This was their second time in the last 10 seasons. So I'm sure a lot of those players were relieved to finally break through and win. I wanted to look at each of the teams individually, what they'll look like going forward. So starting with Dallas, their team's getting a bit older, but they still have some young guys, as it showed through these playoffs, coming through like Guryanov and Kirivanta or Kirivanka, however you pronounce that name. And then Sagan could have a bounce back, and he's still pretty young. Their big contracts they have to look at are Hudobin, who could be asking for a big raise, and if he is, I think it would be a mistake for Dallas to sign that. But if he wants to stay at a relatively cheap price, then yeah, they should definitely keep him around. He showed that he can be a great goalie for them, but they still have Bishop for a few more years, so I think they'd be okay if they let him walk. Other than him, there's Sakara, who they could probably re-sign pretty cheap if they want to. If not, it's not a huge loss for them. And then as an RFA, Guryanov needs re-signed, and they'll definitely re-sign him. It would be a big mistake not to, except he's going to be asking for quite a bit, I'm sure, after how great he was for them this year. Other than that, I think they'll stay the same pretty much. They'll get a bit older, obviously, slow down a bit more, but I think they'll be a playoff team still next year. Probably not a contender, though I wouldn't have said this year they were a contender either. So you never know. As for Tampa, they've got some holes coming up. They have a lot of players that are up for contracts, but none of their core guys are, I would say. They'll, even if they didn't re-sign anyone, they would still be a competitive team next year. But the big signings for them are on defense. Sergachev needs a new contract. He'll be wanting a raise, and they don't have a whole lot of space for it, but they should be able to manage him. Other than him, they have Cernak, who needs re-signed. If depending on how much they have to give up for Sergachev, they maybe have room for Cernak as well. I'm not really sure how his name's pronounced, Cernak or Chernak. But that's definitely one they'll want to keep, because the rest of their right D are all going to be free agents, and I don't know if they can re-sign them unless they make a move. I could see them trying to figure out like a way to move Killorn if they can. He has a modified no trade clause, so he'd have a list of teams that he wouldn't let a trade go through for, but they might still be able to move him otherwise. Other than him, I don't really know who they'd be able to move. So that could leave Shattenkirk or Bogosian as free agents in the offseason. I think Bogosian they could get cheaper, but if they want to keep Shattenkirk, they're going to need a lot more space. But otherwise, like I said, even if they can't re-sign those guys, they'll still be competitive because of just how strong the guys they will be keeping around are. And they've got some young guys on right D that can move up, like Cal Foote, if they deem him ready to play at the NHL level. Otherwise, that's all I've got to say about the Stanley Cup Final. It was fun to watch when I did get to watch it. I missed a couple of the games in the final, but yeah, it was good otherwise. This whole playoffs has been a bit weird, but it's been entertaining. It's been nice to have hockey back. And that's all I have to say today. Thanks for watching.